Hello, I'm Joyce Gay, and welcome to the Joyce Gay Report. Do you remember what was going on in 1983, 86, or 1990? And while these things were going on, what were you doing? We often remember events by associating them with something we were doing at the time something momentous happened. I can remember saying any number of times that I was coming back from lunch when I heard that President Kennedy had been shot. Obviously, this was an event that would affect much more than our lunch hour, but we have a tendency to make these associations. What were we doing 5 or 8 years ago? And what was going on in our town, our state, the nation, in fact, the entire world? We have been with you much of that time. We've been doing the Joyce Gay Report, first on cable and then on your PBS station, for 8 years. A great deal has happened during that time, and we've tried to share a lot of it with you. Let's take a look at some of the events and many of the people who have been shaping our world.
The Joyce Gay Report is underwritten by the Woodlands Corporation, developers of the Woodlands, today's real hometown for people and companies. And by Mitchell Energy and Development Corporation, finding and producing natural gas and oil for over 40 years.
The Joyce Gay Report has been documenting both triumph and tragedy for many years. We've looked at the worlds of business, science, sports, and government. We've interviewed some extremely high-profile people, and we've covered events of global importance. And of course, we've had our lighter moments too. So please join us as we highlight some of the events of the world we live in. In our program entitled Shadows on the Earth, we studied the environmental concerns of our planet. The problem is elementary, yet ominous in scope. Today, the world contains 5 billion people. In 10 years, it's expected to reach 10 billion. Many feel that something must be done. However, we talked with Senator Albert Gore in Washington, and he told us how difficult it's been to get anything done.
Well, it's frustrating, frankly, to try to build awareness around the country and throughout the world, awareness of the need for our global civilization to face up to these problems.
We visited the Carter Presidential Center in Atlanta, Georgia, because we knew that former President Jimmy Carter is one who is committed to these issues.
We failed to realize that a lot of the economic problems, the enormous burden of third world debt, has been caused substantially by environmental considerations.
In 1987, a missile fired by an Iraqi pilot penetrated the hull of the USS Stark, and it illustrated the dangers of going in harm's way in the Middle East. It also illustrated the dangers involved in the United States' need for imported oil. We spoke to a number of people who recognized the need to address this issue.
We're vulnerable again. We've seen a situation where in 1985 we were importing about 27% of the oil we use in this country. Now we're up to 37 to 40%, depending on the month. It's as though we learned nothing from 73, 74 at the time of the embargo.
Of course, the United States has this habit of oscillating between panic and complacency with respect to the oil problem. When prices are going up, we tend to panic. America is quite complacent at the moment because there are not rising prices.
I've said I think in 2 to 5 years we could be sitting in gas lines again, and people say, how could that possibly be? Well, the way it could possibly be is we're putting OPEC back in the driver's seat.
We spoke with many others about this crisis. They all shared their views and their predictions. All of us with the Joyce Gay Report were very proud when we produced this program because it was an award-winning show, and it was given a special showing in Washington to all the members of Congress. One of the many experienced because of this oil crisis was that the business climate in Texas suffered a major setback. One of the victims of this setback was former Texas Governor John Connally. When sharing his feelings with us regarding his financial problems, Connally exhibited extremely good grace.
I certainly didn't have the wisdom to foresee a collapse of the economy of this state, yet it did. And, you know, looking back on it, you can say, well, you know, you shouldn't have done that. Well, I'll admit that. We shouldn't have done it.
But you know, people in Texas truly do have a can-do attitude, and everyone was determined to overcome. We spoke with Giorgio Borlinghe, an Italian living and working in Texas, who certainly has adopted that attitude.
I think Houston is going through a very exciting moment right now. An exciting moment because it has gone through some very difficult times, as we all know. But now we can really say that the city has matured tremendously through these difficult times.
We covered one of many of the new additions that helped to carry Texas through these difficult times. One was Houston's sparkling new convention facility. The George R. Brown Convention Center opened amid a blaze of celebration. It's been a great economic draw for the area. Then it was decided that the time had come to build the largest single scientific instrument ever created. So we reported plans to build a superconducting super collider. The idea is to look still deeper into the atom. Former Texas Governor Mark White explained what it could mean to the state. What could something like this truly mean to Texas?
To bring together the best and brightest minds in the country and around the world to Texas will make this an economic magnet for new activities.
We also talked with then Governor Bill Clements, who told how the entire state got behind this effort.
It was a 100% effort on everybody's part, and it wasn't only the congressional delegation that sort of set the tone in this regard, but it was also in the local communities, it was in the legislature, it was in state government, it was all across the state.
Of even greater impact will be the structure of knowledge. We're going to move closer to the understanding of the fundamental laws of nature. Can it really answer the questions about the nature of matter or the beginning of our universe?
Yeah, and that, Joyce, it's interesting you say that because there are two sciences that are a little bit offbeat. One is cosmology, which asks the question of how the universe came into existence, how it developed into what we see today. And there's particle physics, which goes beyond chemistry, which deals with atoms, beyond nuclear physics that deals with the nucleus. It asks what are the ultimate constituents, what is matter really made of at the deepest level we can possibly ask. And these two fields, one, the study of the biggest thing in the world itself, the whole universe, the other, the study of the smallest possible things, are really the same science.
Now, all of this so far has been some very heavy stuff. But over the years, we've certainly shared with you some lighter moments. We've always known that Texans really enjoy a good festival, so we've taken you to a few. And Mardi Gras, Galveston style, is the granddaddy of them all. We've also taken you to Old Town Spring, where the festivals are not quite as big, but they're just as wonderful. The little town of Bastrop, Texas, near Austin, also has two outstanding ones. Their Salinas Festival pays homage to Porfirio Salinas, the famous bluebonnet artist who was born there in 1910. And Yesterfest, a celebration reminiscent of early Texas life, pioneer time, when daily life consisted of candle making, butter churning, cabin building, and other tasks necessary for survival. Another legendary festival is also held in Galveston, Dickens on the Strand, a festival that sees Galveston's historic district transformed into 19th century England during the days of Charles Dickens. During our television years together, yours and mine, we've also witnessed tremendous medical advances. Together, we've studied the capabilities of the state-of-the-art MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. It allows doctors to create images from within the human body without the use of X-rays. We took you into the operating room with Dr. Denton Cooley, the famous heart surgeon. It's been written of him that he is the fastest knife in the chest. We asked him about this.
Perhaps that's true. I've had the opportunity to be involved for a good many years, and from the beginning I have emphasized the importance of surgical technique and efficiency, expeditiousness in getting the heart operation completed. So I've gained a reputation of being fast, but I don't think that I'm really swift. I just think that we get the job done.
With us, you examine the ethics behind artificial life support. We asked the question, how much care is too much? We explored the weaker points of our technical brilliance, its darker side.
I think as a physician, what we're expected to do is to help a patient return to normal health. In doing so, we want to do so and provide the least amount of harm to that patient. And that's the balance that we always want to look at. Can our medical care help? Will it be of any benefit to the patient?
At MD Anderson Hospital in Houston, medical experts work to reveal the answers to this complex process called cancer. It's been a long, hard fight, but the people there are confident.
We still have much to do in working out the full genetic involvement in each and every individual cancer. We still have much to do in taking an individual and examining the genes and determining whether a defect in a particular gene places that individual at greater risk of developing cancer than someone else. But the work ahead is very clear. We know what needs to be done.
On a more relaxed note, we then went down to the sea in boats, sailboats. Ever since man's primitive ancestors emerged from the sea, it seems he's been trying to find ways to get back to his watery birthplace. There we met up with a couple of very familiar-looking sailors and asked them about their sailing habits.
Well, we like to classify ourselves as hardcore cruisers. We have a comfortable boat. We have been on the Veracruz race 2 times. That's probably not real hardcore racing, but it's fun.
Now, when it comes to relaxing, this sailor has it down to a fine science.
It depends on the energy level and the mood that you're in, but sure, you light some candles and you can stay anchored for the evening at it, redfish, and it's really nice when you've got a full moon because it lights up the whole bay, and put on some nice soft music, and it can get quite romantic.
In a different kind of sanctuary, we visited a monastery that officially houses the Franciscan Poor Clare nuns. But now it's become better known as the Miniature Horse Monastery, and it's run by the lively and resourceful Sister Bernadette.
For Horse Magazine, I always have loved horses, and here were these little tiny miniatures advertised. So I inquired, and I found out they were worth from $3,000 up, and I said, forget it. But then someone donated our first little horse, and we went to San Antonio and picked it up in a pickup truck, and just smitten with them. And I guess that gave us the idea to make it a means of support
And the rest, as they say, is history. The nuns have been taking very good care of themselves. Thank you very much. We then visited a mode of transportation that's a bit faster, but not a whole lot.
We use the term excursion train to describe the Texas Limited because it is not a commuter train. It is an entertainment experience in and of itself, which will afford riders a taste of the nostalgia, the luxury and the fun, etc., that went with riding on a fine passenger train.
The Joyce Gay Report has made the political front from Texas to Washington. On the Houston front, Kathy Whitmire, the mayor of America's fourth largest city, shared her views with us.
You know, it's strange. You talk about your business background, and yet it's been said that our city government was very much big business oriented, but that Kathy Whitmire was not. Do you feel that's justified?
Well, I think that business is a very broad word that includes everything from the mom and pop grocery store to the major Fortune 500 corporation that has its headquarters here, to the real estate developer who wants to see what will be the way that he can make the most money on an investment in our city. And it's hard to represent the views and interests of all of those people all at the same time. What I've tried to do is bring my background of experience and education, both of which are in the field of business, to apply those to the leadership needed in city government.
We also got together with the newly named Secretary of Commerce.
Well, I hope I bring a touch of reality and a view of the world that is the average businessman and citizen, private citizen, who's not so wrapped up in politics that you know that expression "inside the Beltway," which means inside Washington.
You and I together then explored the beautiful state-of-the-arts world, both the visual and the performing arts. Texas has received international recognition for the symphony, the opera, the ballet, and the theater, not only for their top quality performances, but also for one of the most impressive arrays of concert halls and theaters anywhere in the world. Of course, there's always been good news and bad news. In the field of education, Texas has had its share of both. Some time back, Texans formed a committee to explore the weaker aspects of our schools of higher learning, to see what needed fixing. The Joyce Gay Report did the same. We went directly to the horse's mouth, so to speak, and got opinions from the heads of 4 of our major universities: the University of Texas, Rice University, Texas A&M, and the University of Houston.
We've had a populist feeling in this state, which I strongly support, that as many young people should be able to go to the university and to go to institutions of higher education as possible.
Texas taxpayers, as a result, pay a higher fraction of their total taxes to education than is true in Massachusetts.
Some of the obvious flaws are we don't have enough money, which is the first answer that I'm sure you got from everybody.
As the cutbacks have come, we've increased class sizes, we've increased teaching loads, and I think we're at a point which is probably unstable.
If you hate yourself, you hate your own circumstance, you clearly can't visit with some other soul in the same way.
It comes easy for me. I want people to know I'm a human. I don't want to be a geranium. You know, I like what I am.
Obviously, the world of law is dynamic and colorful. We took you with us to visit two of the most charismatic members of that profession. We talked with the celebrated king of torts, Joe Jamel, about the incredible awards he wins for his clients. When I asked him how he felt about the fact that many think his cases have gotten out of hand, he told me.
I would say that they have been misinformed, that they don't understand that people still get hurt, get maimed through no fault of their own. Out of line where? Out of line because some insurance executive perhaps doesn't want to pay out on a contract he signed to pay out on? I don't think it's out of line at all.
When I asked Racehorse Haynes what are the important ingredients to the kind of lawyer he is, one of the answers he gave me was,
I would think you've got to have a feeling that despite the nature of the offense, that there is within every one of God's creatures some redeeming character trait, some part of that human being that makes that human being worthwhile and worth expending effort for and energy on, and makes them salvageable.
Is there any wonder what makes Joe Jamel and Racehorse Haynes so good at what they do? In fact, we got together with a whole lot of people who are so good at what they do. But since everyone already knows they know their business, we also wanted to find out how they feel about things. T. Boone Pickens has been called America's favorite corporate raider.
Of course, I hate to be called a corporate raider because we go in and put millions of dollars into a deal.
George Mitchell is considered one of the world's most successful oil men.
I've always heard the expression, the business of business is business. I don't buy that at all. I think that you can really run a business and have a social duty that requires you to really think about how you help improve society.
We were poor, but somehow we didn't feel poor. And it had a good school system down there. Most everybody who lived there worked for the refinery, so it was a pretty democratic town. If you were rich, you couldn't be very stuck up because there wasn't enough of you to go around to make a good bridge game.
When I asked Jack Blanton how he hoped people saw him, he replied,
I hope they will just say he was a good man.
I asked the same question of Robert Sizik, son of a coal miner, now CEO of the prestigious Cooper Industries.
Yes, the most important thing I would like, that I think about, if people say he's tough, but he's fair, that's fair. To me, that's okay.
We visited William Ruckles' house, who has worn many hats, including that of Nixon's Deputy Attorney General. We all know what happened there.
Well, that was the Saturday Night Massacre. The president asked Elliot Richardson first, and then me, to fire Archibald Cox, and we both refused, and so we were either resigned or fired. In fact, both things happened to me.
We interviewed the extremely well-known private eye, Clyde Wilson. He definitely got our vote for being the most colorful.
I can't imagine what it would be, but is there anything left in this crazy, cockeyed business you're in that you haven't done yet?
Gaddafi yet. I'd love to go Libya and assassinate Gaddafi.
The list of high achievers we've interviewed is longer than we can possibly cover here. It's been an exciting journey for us, and hopefully for our viewers, to meet many of the people who are helping to shape the 20th century. We've brought you into the living rooms of famous people who make us laugh, those who bring back memories and make us tap our feet. We visited the greats of the sports world, the ones who excel and always reach for that extra mile. And we have taken you into the hallowed halls of science, where men and women continue to struggle for the answers and the cures to the ills of humankind, where visions of a better tomorrow are worth the battles of today. We've looked back into our history, the past that made America so great, getting affirmation from our roots and a sense of who we are and where we come from. And upon this solid base of yesteryear, many work towards improving tomorrow. We left the old towns and traveled to the new towns, those which seek to set new urbanization standards for all of our tomorrows. Over the past 8 years, the Joyce Gay Report has worked hard to develop its own standards of broadcast journalism, which we are very proud to say have earned the program many awards. Programs that we hope have brought you the entertainment and information that you were looking for. Behind the scenes, the crew has worked together, traveled together, and we've all appreciated the viewer response that we've received. And on occasion, to relieve the tensions of an overly long workday, we've even clowned a bit and not taken ourselves too seriously. You've been a wonderful audience, and I know I speak for all of my associates when I say that we've enjoyed producing the Joyce Gay Report for you. Some members of the crew are still with us. Others have branched out developing their own endeavors, but occasionally we can still talk them into assisting us with a worthwhile project. In the months to come, we plan to switch from regular programming to producing a limited number of Joyce Gay Report specials. We hope you'll join us. Thank you from all of us. I'm Joyce Gay.
The Joyce Report is underwritten by the Woodlands Corporation, developers of the Woodlands, today's real hometown for people and companies. And by Mitchell Energy and Development Corporation, finding and producing natural gas and oil for over 40 years.